2018. From the Kelly Live Doppler Storm Center, I'm Scott Moore.
Good morning. It's great to have you here. And away we go.
FM 105.1, Kello News Talk 13, and now at 105.1. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It is great to have you along this Tuesday morning, January 7th. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show here on Kello. Big stories this morning. We've got to start with Donald Trump. We had Donald Trump in the news yesterday because New York Judge Juan Merchan denied Donald Trump's request to delay sentencing in the New York Trump case. And so this was the president's legal team then moved to stop the sentencing. And they were pretty hot yesterday. And they said that this was what's going on is meritless. And we talked about this at length on the show yesterday as news of this was coming in yesterday morning. But Merchan had said he would not sentence Trump to prison and instead issue a sentence of an unconditional discharge, meaning that there would be no punishment imposed. And Donald Trump reacting to that, he was fuming. He was it seemed like it. He's accused of fuming a lot, and then you go and you listen to him, and it doesn't sound like he's fuming to me. In this case, it sounds like Trump was pretty angry about this. So this we'll see what happens. Again, Donald Trump then will be sentenced on January 10th. And 10 days, I think it's then 10 days before he becomes president. So 10 days before Trump becomes president, he will be sentenced. And it seems the fight is not over in regard to Trump and where that stands. That's a big story this morning. There's an international story that certainly got repercussions in the United States. We saw Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resign yesterday. He is suspending Parliament then until March. And now keep in mind, he is the leader of Canada's Liberal Party. He has led that since 2013. And he says that this now is going to allow the Liberal Party to choose a new leader as he suspends Parliament until March because of the political deadlock. And he said that internal battles mean that he cannot. He was saying, "I'm a fighter." He said, "I'm a fighter, and I would like to continue." But he says the internal battles mean that he cannot be the best option in the next election. He said, "I don't easily back down faced with the fight, especially a very important one for our party and the country. But I do this job because of the interests of Canadians, and the well-being of democracy is something that I hold dear," he said. A new prime minister and leader of the Liberal Party will carry its values and ideals into that next election. I'm excited to see that process unfold in the months ahead. So there are a number of folks that are then favorites, and who is it? The front runners that are out there. Anyway, Trudeau has been the prime minister since 2015, and there were a number of people who were calling on him to resign. His standings in the polls have just gotten worse. And it's pretty incredible what you are seeing currently, and it's not just in the United States. You're seeing it in other countries. Canada would be an example. but also elsewhere around the world, where you're seeing a resurgence of conservative leadership right now. The there's a feeling, I think, on the part of many that things have gone far too, gone way too far to the left, and you're seeing then countries, not just the United States, that are reacting to that. So, in the wake of Justin Trudeau's resignation, he announced this yesterday. Donald Trump pitching the idea of a merged United States and Canada. This is something that Trump has been kicking around now for a number of, especially the last few weeks, Trump has been kicking this around. He said if Canada merged with the U.S., there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down, and they would be totally secure from the threat of the Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them, Trump said. Together, what a great nation it would be. So that was Trump on Truth Social. He said the merger would be beneficial for the United States. This is Donald Trump now. Because it would no longer suffer from massive trade deficits and the subsidies that currently we give to Canada in Trump's estimation. So Trudeau has resigned. He has been Canada's prime minister for 9 years. He's led the Liberal Party in Canada for 11 years, and he is done. Also, when you heard this just a few minutes ago from Fox News Radio, Donald Trump saying that he will unban Joe Biden's ban on future oil and offshore drilling. And Trump said, he was on Hugh Hewitt's program yesterday, and Trump said it's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately. Trump said, I will unban it. I have the right to unban it immediately. What is he doing? Why is he doing it? Which is a great question. I ask myself that a lot when it comes to President Joe Biden and the actions that he's taken. So the Donald Trump may need, it may be more difficult. And I think this is what President Biden and Democrats are counting on, is that Donald Trump may need an act of Congress in order to undo Biden's action. And given the ferocity of a number of people, I mean, you look at what Joe Biden has done this week. Okay, he's done this. He's stopping future oil and gas offshore drilling. He's giving citizenship medals to Liz Cheney. This is what we see happening in the our Democrats. This to me is incredible because I think some of us have long memories. Are they hoping on complete ignorance of voters to forget about all of this and, the actions that Joe Biden is taking on his way out the door? I have a hard time believing that. But that is where we're at. So what the president did is this will protect areas along the East Coast and the West Coast, as well as the Eastern Gulf of Mexico, Alaska's northern Bering Sea, from oil drilling as well as natural gas leases. And the Trump said, I have the right to unban it immediately. And I don't know if you heard the audio a few minutes ago from Hugh Hewitt's program. Sounds like Donald Trump maybe, I don't know if he was coming down with a cold or but he sounded like he's a little congested. But Trump said of the president, what's he doing? Why is he doing it? We have something that nobody else has. I mean, nobody has to the extent we have it. And it'll be more by the time we finish because I'll be able to expand. We're going to expand our country. We're going to expand. So this is where he's talking about Canada and he's talking about Greenland. Donald Trump is. Those are both stories that have been in the news here. But Trump said it's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately, and it'll be more. We have oil and gas, and whether you manufacture widgets or digits or whatever you happen to be doing, some countries have to work very hard to do that. We do too, and we will, but we have oil and gas at a level that nobody else has, and we're going to take advantage of it, Trump said yesterday. And when I see somebody saying he's going to ban 625 million acres, wow, that's a lot. Trump says Biden, he doesn't even know what that is. He doesn't even know what 625 million acres would look like. And we can't let that happen to our country. It's really our greatest economic asset. And we're not going to let that happen, Donald Trump said. So Joe Biden doing that literally on his way out the door. How long is your memory? I mean, Democrats, this to me is absolutely amazing what Joe Biden is doing. And what do they think? There will be no more elections? Probably if they had their choice, there wouldn't be any more elections, but it's just pretty unbelievable what we see them doing. Also, other big stories this morning, U.S. Steel and Japan's Nippon Steel have sued the Biden administration yesterday because the president has been trying to block the merger of those two companies. So they filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Court of Appeals yesterday. They're accusing the president of blocking the deal for political reasons rather than true national security concerns. So the president said the move was due to credible evidence that the purchase could threaten national security. Donald Trump has been opposed to that as well. So I don't know, that merger between U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel we'll have to wait and see. But Donald Trump has also been similarly concerned about that. Also, Elon Musk is in the headlines this morning. Actually, these were comments that he made, I think, over the weekend. Elon Musk hitting out at the UK government over the weekend. And he said on X Sunday night, he asked whether the U.S. should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. He said, and he had been hitting out at lawmakers in the UK. In fact, the Prime Minister Starmer said in response to that Elon Musk had crossed a line. He said he accused Musk of spreading lies and misinformation. I don't know. Have you seen Elon Musk do that? The guy's pretty sharp. I don't agree with him on everything, but spreading lies and information, I think we've got the U.S. media that's way ahead of Elon Musk when it comes to that. I think their reputation is secure. So, Musk's criticism then of the UK government, he had a poll where he posed the concept of liberating the people of Britain, and he put it to the users on Twitter. Now, these are unscientific polls, but liberating the people of Britain. And it's Starmer is not happy. He said, on the question of Elon Musk, it is a really important set of issues. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening, But those that are spreading lies and information as far and wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing Elon Musk only wrapped up in himself. Also, that's a pretty big story about Elon Musk. And on one level, it makes me laugh. I think there are serious conversations there, but I also think it makes me laugh. Would this be like, a military operation to liberate the UK? I mean, that's where my mind goes. What? So if America were to liberate the UK, what might that look like? So, also this morning, and this was also news from over the weekend, you had Senator Chuck Schumer, who was on one of the Sunday shows, and The Hill has got a story on this morning about Democratic leaders and lawmakers facing growing scrutiny for not blowing the whistle sooner about the president and his decline over the last 2 years. And so Senator Schumer, again, this came up on one of the Sunday shows, and Kristen Welker, this was on Meet the Press. Schumer, last February, dismissed talk about a decline in Biden's mental and physical fitness. He called it right-wing propaganda at that time. So he was challenged about that over the weekend by Kristen Welker, and Welker put the question to Schumer, said whether he and other top Democrats had misled Americans about Biden's mental acuity. And he did not receive the question well. Look, we didn't, he said. The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, he said, talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. Oh, man. These people are so... Do you really believe that? So... some Democrat senators are warning there will be more calls. These are Democrats now. Be more calls for answers and accountability, given that Biden's condition become a glaring problem, especially, and we all saw it in the first presidential debate against Donald Trump. So one Democratic senator said, I think it's coming big time. So he's talking about a wave of recriminations then in response to what happened. Also, and you're hearing this in the news, locally, you just heard Joe Bowman talking about the number of vehicles that were stolen in Sioux Falls over the weekend, over 40 vehicles that were stolen, and people are largely just leaving their keys in the vehicles. It gets to be cold, and that's a lot of it. You go in somewhere and it's cold, and so you leave your car running, you leave it unlocked and running, the keys in the ignition, and you're thinking, yeah, I'll be back in a moment. I'm just going in quickly, and I'll be right back. And you come back, and the car's gone. And this is happening more and more. Teleland TV also had a story about the number of car windows that were shattered this weekend in Sioux Falls. And I think these things are worth talking about. This happened in parking lots at 4 different apartment complexes over the weekend. And so Sioux Falls police are, investigating that. Police said that there were a number of vehicles. This was at one apartment complex, 17 vehicles. And the police said inside some of them, they found valuables that had not been taken. And police said, this is kind of uncommon, still searching for answers as to what was used to break the windows, how many suspects you had. And so Sam Clemens said, sometimes there's just an inherent risk, and you don't know who is going to come through and choose to do damage to cars. And that's what we're looking at here, he said. I think people just being aware of their surroundings. If they hear noises outside, look outside. If you see something unusual, like people breaking car windows, call police. So that's worth discussing, I think. And again, with 40 vehicles stolen, people leaving keys in their vehicles, I cannot do it. I cannot. And I know some people who can. I'm just going in for a moment, or okay, I'm not wired that way. I don't know why. I simply cannot leave my vehicle running with the keys in it. I just can't do it when I go somewhere. But apparently a number of folks are, especially during the colder weather, and you kind of understand that. But we'll talk about that in a little more detail coming up this morning. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month, 627 mostly cloudy, and 13. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
And Robbins, weekdays at 2. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires. To give you more tire and all.
Okay.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen Picture and Combination Windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
Great to have you along this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Sure about your Medicare options? Call
We'll open up the phone lines after 7 this morning. Do you leave your keys in your vehicle? Leave your vehicle running? And I understand it gets colder, and I'm more, the cold affects me more, especially on those blood thinners that I'm on. The cold really affects me. I just can't leave my keys in the vehicle. I can't do it. So we'll talk about that this morning.
Register today at purplewave.com and start bidding with peace of mind. Purple Wave Auction.
I mean, and even when now I rent a garage at my apartment complex. I rent a garage. Car goes inside every evening, and I lock my car in the garage. So I not only lock the garage, I lock my car in the garage. Is that overkill? We'll talk about that this morning. I don't think it is. It's easy. I just hit the button and boom, my car's locked. And then I close the garage door and it's locked.
Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one.
We'll see what Joe's got cooking here.
By USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing aids might change. Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Early morning flurries or light snow showers becoming partly sunny for the afternoon. Well, the high temperature of 20, northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies this evening and tonight will fall to 3 for an overnight low. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high temperature at 25, southwest winds of 5 to 15. Running Kettleland Live Doppler Storm Center. I'm Scotland.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, mostly cloudy and 13 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, Sioux Falls man who went missing while on a hunting trip been found dead in Hanson County. Also, more details on that Grand Theft Auto spree in Sioux Falls over the weekend. Details coming up just after Fox News. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show.
With his election win certified and inauguration around the corner, President-elect Donald Trump has his eyes set on Greenland. President-elect Donald Trump is doubling down on his goal
What do you think of
buy
that?
Greenland. He says in part, quote, "I'm hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. Greenland is an incredible place, and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. Make Greenland great again." That's Fox's Brooke Singman. Donald Trump Jr. will visit Greenland today. The prime minister says the country is not for sale. President Biden signing proclamations today, creating the Chuckwalla and the Satila National Monument in California.
The Biden administration says the move will protect more than 800,000 acres of land in California. The proclamation bars drilling and mining and other forms of development on the protected lands.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. A Sioux Falls man who went missing while on a hunting trip has been found dead in Hanson County. The 66-year-old was reported missing yesterday morning after not returning home on Sunday. Search crews found the man's truck near a waterfowl production area south of Epiphany on Highway 25. The man's body was later found in that vicinity. The investigation is still ongoing. More details on that Grand Theft Auto spree in Sioux Falls over the weekend. Sioux Falls police says nearly 40 cars were stolen from Friday to Monday morning. And they say around half of the thefts were because people left keys inside their vehicles. The other half of the vehicles stolen were Kia or Hyundai cars that have become an easy target because of manufacturing issues. Authorities are reminding folks to never leave your keys in your car, even if it's locked, and to pay close attention if you're warming up your car during these winter months. Another South Dakotan is going to fill a prominent role on Capitol Hill. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has appointed Jackie Barber of Oneida to serve as Secretary of the U.S. Senate. Barber, a USD Knudsen School of Law alum, previously served as the Director for the Senate Committee on Rules and Administration. She will be the second South Dakotan to hold the Senate Secretary position. As 2025 is underway, the Better Business Bureau is shedding light on the most common scams reported across the Midwest. The top common reported scams in South Dakota last year were from bogus online stores and email phishing. The BBB advises to stay scam-free in 2025. You have to avoid unsolicited emails from unknown senders and never click on links or open attachments. Never send money to strangers, and always research online retailers before making an online purchase. And in sports, the Sioux Falls Skyforce defeated the Long Island Nets 98-96 last night, scoring a three-pointer at the buzzer to secure their fourth straight road victory. And the Minnesota Timberwolves also squeaked by with a win, beating the LA Clippers 108-106. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Flurries or light snow showers for the early morning hours, partly sunny for the afternoon. Well, the high temperature near 20, northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy this evening and tonight will fall to 3 for an overnight low. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high temperature at 25. A light southwest wind of 5.
Okay.
From the Kelloland Live Doppler Storm Center, I'm Scott Marsh.
News as it unfolds and your chance to talk about it. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
Welcome to our annual Scam Week. Each year, we take the first week of January to help you fight the scammers and the cyber crooks. Today, it's the fake PayPal invoice scam. I'm Kim Commando for ExpressVPN. Get 4 extra months free at expressvpn.com/Kim. If you have a PayPal account, I'd be surprised if you're not hit with the fake invoice scam. In your email, you receive a real invoice.
I delete so many of those emails.
Someone, let's call him John Smith, has requested
scam emails,
$900 or maybe up to $3,000. It's usually an odd amount to make it seem legit. The scammer hopes you'll just pay it, and many do. Behind the scenes, it works like this. Any member of PayPal can ask any other member for money. PayPal is just the facilitator. Whether or not you send the money, it's up to you. There's even a phone number to call. Do not call it. That's not PayPal. It's the scammer. Remember, do not pay any invoice you're not expecting. And stay tech ahead in 2025 with my free newsletter at getkim.com. Everyone's talking about how ChatGPT and AI will change the world. But guess what? The same big tech companies that determine your search results are investing in it. But makes you wonder, why would they continue to link to third-party sites when their robot can generate the perfect response? That's why I use ExpressVPN to add a layer of protection between me and big tech. ExpressVPN hides my unique IP, making it much more difficult for big tech to identify who I am and link me with my online activities. Plus, it encrypts all my online traffic, keeping me safe from hackers and prying eyes. I've been using ExpressVPN for years. It's easy to use. Just fire up the app and tap connect. And one subscription covers up to 5 devices, so your whole family can use it. Go to expressvpn.com/Kim right now, and you get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Kim to get the VPN rated #1 by me. expressvpn.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Whether it's on the job, on the field, on an errand, or at home, accidents can happen anywhere. If you suffer a break, sprain, or any other orthopedic injury, trust the experienced orthopedic team at Avera Orthopedics Urgent Care to keep you moving. Be seen immediately inside the Avera Specialty Hospital at 69th and Louise. No appointment necessary. Learn more about Avera's Orthopedic Urgent Care at avera.org/orthopedic urgent care.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pega is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Some days winter in Sioux Falls can be pretty.
And some days winter can be pretty ugly.
See what's ahead of you with up-to-the-minute forecasts.
Find out if it's snowman weather, snowstorm weather, or just no way you should drive today weather.
Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
638, mostly cloudy and 13 currently at Kello. Great to have you along this morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, Donald Trump officially, his election victory was certified yesterday. So taking him one step closer then to assuming the Oval Office at the end of the month. And there was a lot that was being made about this yesterday. Tellers for the Senate's vote counting were Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska, Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, and then you had a couple over on the House side as well. So the 312 Electoral College votes for Trump were counted and presented by the tellers, in addition to the 226 votes for Vice President Kamala Harris. And there was a lot made of this because you had Kamala Harris overseeing that as president of the Senate, overseeing that process and certifying then her own defeat. And I didn't talk about it a lot yesterday. I know I saw some that I thought they were rubbing salt in the wound. That must have been a difficult day, I would imagine, for Kamala Harris. And so we move on. Also yesterday, Judge Juan Merchan has rejected Donald Trump's attempt then to delay his sentencing In the hush money case, the judge offered Trump the option to appear virtually and has said he is likely to give a sentence of unconditional discharge, meaning that Donald Trump would receive no fines, probation, or jail time. Now, this is Washington Examiner says, reports that Mershon said Trump's attorney's request for a sentencing delay lacked accuracy. And then we start getting into legalese. So what it boils down to is an unconditional discharge. Trump would receive no fines, probation, or jail time. How well would that sit with you? So an unconditional, you've been found guilty, an unconditional discharge, so no jail time or anything, but you still would be a convicted felon. How well would that sit with you? It's not sitting well with Donald Trump, and I think you can understand why. Also, we had the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, announcing yesterday that he will resign as leader of his party, the Liberal Party in Canada. And he has not been doing well in polls, showing him trailing far behind the Conservative Party in the upcoming election. So Canada's parliament will be suspended until March 24th, while a new leader will be chosen. And Trudeau said, last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust nationwide competitive process, he said. Other stories trending, the president and First Lady Jill Biden attended a memorial service yesterday for the victims of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack in New Orleans. So the president made some short remarks near the end of the service. He just said, the shock and pain is still so very raw. My wife Jill and I are here to stand with you, grieve with you, pray with you, and let you know that you are not alone. The rest of the nation is looking at you as well, the president said. He went on to talk about New Orleans. He commended the first responders. He said, New Orleans defines strength and resilience. You define it, whether it's in the form of this attack, from this attack, or hurricanes or superstorms, the city's people get back up. That's the spirit of America as well. Also, Donald Trump Jr. expected to travel to Greenland today after his father, Donald Trump, signaled an interest in U.S. ownership and control of Greenland. So Donald Trump Jr. is traveling there personally. So he's not going there officially on behalf of his father. He's just going there personally. So he will arrive in Greenland midday today for meetings with locals. He'll also be visiting cultural sites. And Donald Trump Jr. said, as someone who has traveled to some fascinating places across the globe as an outdoorsman, I'm excited to stop into Greenland for a little bit of fun this week, he said. One source said that Trump popping in for a quick day-long trip to shoot some fun video content for podcasting. So he'll be in Greenland. And again, Donald Trump has been talking about U.S. ownership of Greenland. Other stories that are trending this morning, one involving Pamela Anderson, who she says she almost got killed by someone who thought she was a member of the Dixie Chicks. So she was sharing a story on a on a podcast, and she was asked what celebrity she's most often mistaken for. And so Anderson said this one time, I was on a flight, and this guy came up to me and said, do you know what this country's done for you? And she really didn't know how to respond, so things started getting worse. As the flight went on, she said she could see the man snarling and glaring at her every time she turned around to look back at him. I mean, you know how that is. Once somebody's staring at you, you can't help but glance back. So she said he ultimately became violent, had to be restrained to his chair. And she said the stewardess had to handcuff him to the chair because he was trying to attack me. And end up, he thought I was a Dixie chick, she said. Remember that whole Dixie chick thing? Almost got killed on a plane, Pamela Anderson says. That story's at the New York Post. Also, Dana White is going to be joining the board of Meta. He's a friend of Donald Trump's, longtime friend of Donald Trump's, Dana White. He will be joining the board of Facebook parent Meta 2 weeks before Trump's administration begins. So Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, who has had a tense relationship with Trump during his first term, said on Facebook that White has built the UFC into the one of the most valuable, fastest growing, and most popular sports enterprises in the world. Zuckerberg said, I've admired him as an entrepreneur and his ability to build such a beloved brand, he says. So now Dana White will be on the board of Meta. Sounds like that's happening, will be happening fairly quickly. Also, Enrique Tarrio, who is a former chairman of the Proud Boys, he is currently serving 22 years in federal prison, and he's asking Donald Trump for a pardon through his attorneys. So he was convicted 22 years in federal prison. He was convicted of seditious conspiracy in relation to the January 6, 2021 protest. And so that request comes after Trump has said, Trump has been very outspoken that he would pardon some of the January 6th protesters as he takes office. Also, a federal judge in New York has found Rudy Giuliani in civil contempt, saying that Giuliani had not answered questions from those 2 Georgia election workers about how he was going to pay them the $148 million for defamation that he owes. So that is a big setback for Giuliani in the same federal district where he once served as U.S. attorney. Other stories that are trending this morning. Beware of the norovirus, which is the flu bug, essentially. Cases of norovirus are surging in parts of the United States this winter. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, there were 91 outbreaks of norovirus reported during the week of December 5th. So this is the beginning of December. And that had been up from November. So number from the past few years show a maximum of 65 outbreaks reported during that first week of December. And so folks are out. Now, these outbreaks most often are seen on cruise ships, also in places like nursing homes, jails, schools, sometimes places where folks are close together. You can see the norovirus. Also, U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel are suing the president over a move to block their merger. They filed a lawsuit yesterday in the U.S. Court of Appeals, accusing the president of blocking the deal for political reasons rather than for true national security concerns. And the steel companies in a statement said, President Biden's order is the culmination of a months-long campaign to subvert and exploit the United States national security apparatus for the purpose of keeping a promise made by the president and his advisors. So they are suing. Also, Senator Chuck Schumer was on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, and Kristen Welker asked him to respond to Americans who feel as though you and other top Democrats misled them regarding the president's condition and his mental acuity. And Schumer said, look, we didn't. And let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record. Yeah, amazing is not the word I would use, but he's had an amazing record. The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since the New Deal, since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, putting in 235 judges, a record. And he's a patriot. He's a great guy. And when he stepped down, he did it on his own because he thought it was better not only for the Democratic Party, but for America. We should all salute him. We should all salute him, he says. So Welker continued to press him, saying, you know, the president, now keep in mind, the president has been saying, and there have been reports, I've shared them with you, the president has been saying he wishes he had not dropped out of the race. He believes he could have won. And so Welker brought that up. And Schumer said, well, I'm not going to speculate. As I said, I think his record is a stellar one. Seriously, if Joe Biden's record is a stellar one, wow. He'll go down in history as a really outstanding president. Why don't we leave that to history? Why don't we let history make that determination as to what kind of president Joe Biden was, rather than Senator Schumer telling us what an outstanding president Joe Biden has been. Just absolutely crazy. Well, we're talking about Kristen Welker at NBC. It's a great piece in Newsbusters a couple of days ago following the interview. And they're saying that Welker is pretending the media had no role in hiding the president's decline. And which is a great point. And I heard Clay Travis talking about this yesterday on his show. He picked up on this yesterday. And they have a point, they're sharing transcript from the interview. And they say that the tell here with Welker is that she did not interrupt Schumer as he proceeded to respond to her question on Biden's mental decline and Schumer's own furtherance of the phony sharp as attack narrative. Schumer was allowed to deflect and kill time undisturbed. Yeah. There was no interruptions or clarifications or other stories trending this morning. Stargazers been treated to a pretty great celestial scene on Friday. Venus appeared shining brightly above a crescent moon. Did you happen to catch that last week? So stargazers, that story is just trending now, but this was actually on Friday. Stargazers around the world being treated to the sight of Venus and a crescent moon. Now, that story is trending. Also, a young woman was killed by an Asian elephant at a sanctuary in Thailand on Friday. She's a Spanish citizen, and she was visiting an island with her boyfriend at the time of the incident, according to a Spanish newspaper. And she, the 50-year-old elephant, pushed her with its trunk while she bathed it, and it caused a fatal blow. So there are around 18 people who were there. Can you imagine that, being struck by an elephant? And in this case, took her life. Golden Globes are still trending. The Nikki Glaser earning rave reviews for. I'm just not a fan of award shows. We talked about that on the 4th hour yesterday. The award shows, I'm just so that's so yesterday's news to me. Also trending this morning, the U.S. has recorded its first human death from bird flu. At least 67 cases have been recorded in the country. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57, mostly cloudy, and 13 here at Kello. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Close to home or halfway around the world.
Thank you, my friend, for starting your day with us. I hope you'll come back at 9:30 as we do the 4th hour. So I'll see you on the radio until then.
Annual Iowa Port Congress in Des Moines, January 22nd and 23rd. Join thousands